years now, and was started by Vernon and Margaret and another small sort of group of like-minded people at the time. So I'm not going to say too much, but to start to kick things off, just want to introduce Vernon Griffithson, give us a little bit of an introduction, and well, I'll let Vernon introduce it.
If I stand here and take this off just a moment, just to say how good it is to actually be able to come and know that this is continuing after so long. Many organisations sort of live when the people starting it are around, and when they go, they tend to disappear. But in fact, the great joy has been that the Interfaith group in Swindon has continued and still is going, and it's thanks to a number of people. I was reminded last night that I had promised Kenny that I would say just a few words about the origins of Interfaith group in Swindon and how it got started. I spent a day thinking just what to do, and then I came across a recording I have of my wife, who was really, very much the one who was actually involved in making things happen right at the beginning, and I found this recording, so I've got this and I'm going to play it. This recording was made in 2014 on Flame FM, which was a radio program, so a local radio program, really amongst the Christian churches. But the particular slot was taken up talking about interfaith things going on and the connection that Christian churches have had with other faiths in the town. And so I thought probably the best thing was to actually play this, because it gives some of the background to this. The two main things that really fired us, Margaret and me up particularly, was first of all, experience of being in Nigeria. I taught in Nigeria in the 60s, and for the first few years we had a very happy time. We were able to travel around in the country, going several miles during, I was teaching and during the summer holidays, as it were. If you have a summer in the tropics, I don't know. Anyway, we were able to travel during the long holiday break up through the north, right up into the northern country and back down round there. And I hear now, you see lots of the names of places that we visited, which now, great troubles, Boko Haram and so on there, and this sort of thing that's happening there. But at the time, in general, things were well. I mean, in the 60s, there were things bubbling under, and there were sort of consequences of the colonial heritage. When you take a block of land and you draw more or less straight boundaries, it contains 300 different language groups there, and so you've got to get on with it. It's not surprising you start getting troubles, and Nigeria has had that. And of course it bubbled over in the 60s, and we were fairly well in what was the Western region, up in the eastern end of the Western region, and the Civil War started with a breakaway in the east of what was called itself Biafra, and they moved. The first reaction we knew about it was a friend who had come up from the east and come through the Biafran lines and told us that the Biafrans are just 10 miles down the road. Then a little while later we moved on. Anyway, that experience there and the sorts of things that we experienced there was one of the things. How easily people can be set against each other using different faith groups as the excuse for treating one group to attack another. And that was one of the experiences. The other was that when we came back, I say the first time we travelled around, we then had children. That sort of limited what we could do. And then, of course, the war, and in fact, we pulled out, which is just as well, because Margaret actually had developed a condition which, if it had not been diagnosed when we came back here, she would have had a much shorter life than she had. Anyway, when we came back, the children going through, when the elders had gone to university, we've still got two at home, and there was me to feed as well, but nevertheless, Margaret did an Open University degree, and a component of this was a course which was called Man's Religious Quest. Calling it Man's Religious Quest, of course, dates it. But nevertheless, Margaret took it on, and found this really quite inspiring in many ways. And it was the background of going around and visiting the different faith groups within Swindon and building up relationships with people and so on. She did the course in 1982, and in the subsequent 8 years, she was building up all sorts of contacts in all sorts of ways with the leaders of different groups, and so that in 1990 the Interfaith group was formed. So this is just 7 minutes, but I'll play it now, and all goes well.
August gathering. A Buddhist reflection. Peace and harmony are two key ideas which often play a part in the design of peace gardens and other spiritually focused areas.
So we were asked to share just a quick reading from the Book of Mormon, or the Testament of Jesus Christ, which was introduced on Wednesday night. So we just wanted to share just a couple of verses that really capture what this book is all about and what it can bring people that read it. So some context of this verse. We believe that the resurrected Christ came and visited the people that are talked about in this book. And we just wanted to share just a couple verses and then some quotes that go along with those verses. So this is a reading from the book of 4th Nephi, towards the end of the Book of Mormon. And it says, "And it came to pass that there was no contention in the land because of the love of God which did dwell in the hearts of the people.
And there were no envyings, nor strifes, nor tumults, nor whoredoms, nor lyings, nor murders, nor any manner of lasciviousness, and surely there cannot be a happier people among all the people who had been created by the hand of God.
There were no robbers, nor murderers, neither were there any nationalities, but they were in one, the children of Christ, and heirs to the kingdom of God."
And how blessed were they! For the Lord did bless them in all their doings, yea, even they were blessed and prospered until 110 years had passed away, and the first generation from Christ had passed away, and there was no contention in all the land.
So after Christ came, these people were so full of the love of God, they all loved God, and that led them to love each other. And there was no contentions, there was just peace. And there's a couple quotes from some of the leaders of our church that go along with these verses we wanted to share. So this first one is from Elder Jeffrey R. Holland, who is a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And he said, "It is then, and really only then, that we can effectively keep the second great commandment in ways that are not superficial or trivial. If we love God enough to try to be fully faithful to Him, He will give us the ability, the capacity, the will, and the way to love our neighbor and ourselves. Perhaps then we'll be able to say once again, there could not be a happier people among all the people who have been created by the hand of God." Thank you.
When told that I was going to have to make a presentation, I went in a state of panic on a trawl through the internet Those of you who know my limited technological capabilities will realise that this was a real state of, I don't know, complete desperation. However, the good Lord came to my aid, and I chanced upon this lovely prayer by a gentleman called Frank Fool's Crow, whose title is Old Lord of the Holy Men, Ceremonial Chief and Medicine Man of the Lakota Nation. It goes as follows. Give us a blessing so that our words and actions be one in unity, and that we may be able to listen to each other in so doing. And we shall, with a good heart, walk hand in hand to face the future. In the presence of the outside, we are thankful for many blessings. I make my prayer for all people, the children, the women, and the men. I pray that no harm will come to them, and that on the great island there be no war, that there be no ill feelings among us. And from this day, may we walk hand in hand. So be it. Amen. Thank you.
Announces a Heavenly Parents Holy Community. Family Federation for World Peace and Unification. So this is Father Mary's autobiography. I'll just read a couple of paragraphs from here. So religion's role is to turn human beings towards goodness and eliminate their evil nature that finds enjoyment in fighting. Examine the major religions of the world. They all hold a peaceful world as their ideal. They all want to see a kingdom of heaven, utopia, or paradise. Religions have different names for their ideal, but they all seek such a world. There are numerous religions in the world, and virtually everyone is divided into countless factions and denominations. But the essence, hope for all, is the same. They want the kingdom of heaven and a world of peace. And human heart has been torn to shreds by violence and enmity at our core. The kingdom of love will heal it. The last two paragraphs. Only true religious people can stand up to the unrighteousness and evil of the world and practice true love. Only when the knowledge and experience of political leaders are combined with the wisdom of interreligious leaders will the world be able to find the path to true peace. Each day, I set out on my path with renewed determination to achieve that goal. His prayer is that every person on earth will be reborn as a peace-loving global citizen, transcending barriers of religion, ideology, and race. I think that was a very nice quote, very apt for the week, because we all gathered at all the different places or on Zoom. And I don't know if it was just me, but I noticed where there was food was involved that more people gathered. Maybe food is, I think he says in here, Father says in here that food is an expression of love. When you give food to someone, you're actually expressing love. I just wanted to say something else that happened a few years ago. Do you have any Jewish community? I don't think there's anyone here. So about 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, we were applying for a burial ground at our place in Stanton, Chris Warren. So our sister Keiko had done a lot of work with the people around and asked for support, and they said yeah, they would support it. So we went into planning, the planning office, and we went to planning for the committee to approve it or not approve it, and the people who said that they would support it all said things which were derogative and against it. And there's one lady stood up, and she said, she was a counsellor, and she said, I'm Jewish, and she really supported the idea, and she supported us in building it. And I think because she supported it, they passed the application, so we have our own burial ground now in Stanton Chris Warren. But I think because of this interfaith is working together, we can be very strong together, even though there's maybe not so many of us. I was reading a friend in Newcastle who's doing the same thing in Newcastle. There may not so many, but we can do really good things together with God, of course, with God. Thank you very much.
Wally mentioned the birthday of Guru Nanak, and that's why Malkit can't be with us this evening, because the Sikh community are today celebrating the birth of Guru Nanak. So he has sent his apologies as well. I'm going to start with Alan's reading. Alan's a Quaker, and he sent me this. I have to put my glasses on because I can't read without them. Give us grace and strength to persevere. Give us courage and gaiety and the quiet mind. Spare us our friends and soften to us our enemies. Give us the strength to encounter that which is to come, that we may be brave in peril, constant in tribulations, temperate in wrath, and in all changes of fortune, and down to the gates of death, loyal and loving to one another. And that is a quote from Robbie Louis Stevenson. I'm going to, before I read a passage from the Baha'i writings, I'm going to talk a little bit about my interfaith perspective. I came across the concept of interfaith before I came across the Baha'i faith, bizarrely enough. And it was in Canada, and it was on a bus tour of Toronto. And I was going down the street, and the guy on the bus was talking about how Canada and Toronto especially is this cultural melting pot. And he pointed along the road that we were going down opposite the Shoe Museum of all places. And he said, here you have a Christian church, here you have a Jewish synagogue, and in the middle you have a Baha'i temple. And this cultural melting pot of Toronto, and coming across all these different people of different faith, really got my brain thinking, and hearing that Baha'i faith that I'd never heard of. What's this about? And later on, I became involved in interfaith at university, and then came across the Baha'is through there and started talking to them. So I came across my faith through interfaith, and I have interfaith as a concept to thank for that. And I think one of the things about the Baha'i faith is a concept of unity. And I'm going to read a very short passage from the Baha'i writings, because this says it in about 3 sentences. The well-being of mankind, its peace and security, are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. This unity can never be achieved so long as the counsels which the pen of the Most High have revealed and suffered to pass unheeded. 2 sentences that say everything that we're about here at Swindon Interfaith. I'm really, really proud to be part of the group. I've been part of the group for 10 years now. I think what Margaret and Vernon started in the late 1980s and officially in 1990 is an incredible achievement. We aim to carry their banner of light that they started into the future. I think as a committee we work so well together to bring events like this, and I really do thank every member of our committee for their support in especially the last 18 months in keeping things going, because it has been incredibly hard. So thank you to every one of you. I know I get thanks, but thanks to all of you as well. And I'm going to shut up now.
From what Penny was saying, I lived in Vancouver for quite a while, and yes, you've got a multicultural, multi-faith. Vancouver, they love parades. First parade of the year, Chinese New Year. And you'll see Muslims and Sikhs going around in the parade with brightly coloured little Chinese jackets on. And then you get St. Patrick's Day. And then you've got the Chinese on a platform doing Chinese dancing with their wigs and all the rest of it. And then it moves on, and then it comes down right the way around to Santa Claus. And that parade, you've got everybody involved. Following, several things I wanted to say, and following on from what's happened in the last few days, this piece fell into my hands. O gracious Mother and merciful Father, we pray that you help the leaders of this world to have compassion in their hearts and that you give them the wisdom to end the suffering caused by wars, and the understanding that only through peace will we be truly happy. We humbly ask that you guard and protect all of our brothers and sisters in the military, and to give comfort to their loved ones. May you lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our heart, our world, our universe. Let our words be spoken in truth, and our hearts show only love. So mote it be.
Very much, Dennis. A nice, superb, some beautiful words to end on. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to everybody else. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing Interfaith Week and making it such a success again this year. And look out for our next events. Again, thank you once again to Paul and to the members of this of the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints for allowing us to use the facility. Much appreciated. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. And let's adjourn and partake of some refreshments.
Thank you.